Captain Dae-ho Kim stood at the bridge of the Earthship Defender, his eyes fixed on the massive alien vessel that had appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. It was 3 times larger than the biggest human ship ever built. "Status report," Dae-ho said, his voice calm despite the tension in the air. Lieutenant Suji-han looked up from her screen. "The alien ship is holding position, sir. They're sending a signal on all frequencies." Dae-ho nodded. "Put it on screen." The main display flickered and an alien figure appeared. It had blue-gray skin, 4 eyes set in a diamond pattern, and no visible nose. When it spoke, its mouth moved in strange ways. "People of Earth, we are the Stellar Concord, a union of the 37 most advanced species in this sector of the galaxy. I am Commander Talon, appointed to bring you into our fold." Dae-ho stepped forward. "I am Captain Dae-ho Kim of the Earth Defense Force. We welcome peaceful contact with other intelligent life." The alien made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Peace is available to you, but only on our terms. The Concord has observed your civilization for decades. You are primitive but show potential. We offer you membership as a client race." "What does that mean exactly?" Dae-ho asked. "You will submit to Concord authority. Your resources will serve the greater good of all member species. Your military will be dismantled. In return, you will receive protection and limited access to our technology." Dae-ho's face remained neutral, but his hands tightened into fists behind his back. "And if we decline?" All 4 of the aliens' eyes narrowed. "That would be unwise. Those who resist are eliminated. You have 48 hours to inform your world leaders and prepare your formal surrender. I will accept nothing less than total compliance." The screen went dark. "They've cut the transmission, sir," Suji said. Dae-ho turned to his communications officer. "Contact Earth Command immediately, and I want everything we recorded analyzed. Every word, every movement, every detail of their ship." 6 hours later, Dae-ho sat in the emergency meeting room at Earth Defense Headquarters in Seoul. The room was filled with military leaders and government officials from around the world. The air felt heavy with fear. "We cannot fight them," General Park said, slamming his fist on the table. "Their ship alone could probably destroy our entire fleet." "So we just give up?" asked Admiral Chen. "Become their slaves?" President Yoon raised her hands. "We need to be realistic. We don't know enough about their capabilities." Dae-ho cleared his throat. "With all due respect, I noticed something during the transmission. Their technology is advanced, yes, but I saw flaws in their ship design, inefficiencies, and Commander Talon showed signs of surprise when I responded quickly to his demands." Dr. Jisoo Park, Earth's leading xenobiologist, spoke up from the end of the table. "Captain Kim is right. I've been analyzing the transmission data. The Concorde seems technologically superior, but there are inconsistencies. I don't think they're as unbeatable as they want us to believe." "That's hardly enough to risk humanity's survival on," the Chinese premier argued. Jisoo stood up and activated the room's display. "It's more than that. My team found this." She pulled up an image of strange symbols. "This was visible in the background of their transmission. We've seen these before in the ruins on Mars." The room fell silent. "The same symbols?" "President?" Yoon asked. Jisoo nodded. "Yes. According to the Mars ruins, these symbols belong to a civilization called the Arcani. The ruins suggested they were wiped out 10,000 years ago." Dae-ho leaned forward. "So the Conquered might have eliminated them?" "Possibly," Jisoo said. "But there's more. I've been working with the data we recovered from Mars for years. It contained warnings about a coalition of species that pretended to offer peace but actually harvested worlds." General Park scoffed. "That's a pretty big leap from some old symbols." "Is it?" Jisoo asked. She switched the display to show a different image. "This is a diagram from the Mars ruins. It shows planets joining this coalition, then being stripped of resources until they're abandoned. The final planets in the sequence, match worlds we can now identify from astronomical data as dead systems." The room erupted in debate. Dae-ho watched silently, thinking. Finally he spoke up, his voice cutting through the noise. I think we need more information before we decide. Let me take a small team to one of these client worlds. We can use the stealth ship prototype. If these aliens are lying, we should find out before we surrender. 24 hours later, Daeho and Jisoo stood in the observation room of the stealth ship Shadow. Below them was a planet that should have been thriving, according to Concord data they had received. Instead, they saw a world with massive mining, operations, and horrible pollution. The native people worked like slaves while Concord overseers watched. "This is what they have planned for Earth," Jisoo whispered. Daeho's face hardened. "Take all the evidence you can, we're leaving in 10 minutes. Just then an alarm sounded. "Captain," called pilot Min-Ho Kang from the bridge. "We've been spotted. 2 Concord ships approaching fast." "Get us out of here," Daeho ordered. "Maximum." "Speed!" The Shadow shot away from the planet, the Concord ships in pursuit. Energy beams flashed past them. "Their targeting systems are slow to adjust," Min-Ho noted as he executed a sharp turn. "They have power but not precision." Daeho watched the tactical display. "Push the engines beyond safety protocols. Let's see if they can match our speed." The ship lurched forward, straining as it accelerated. The Concord vessels fell behind, unable to keep up with the smaller, more agile human ship. "Their technology isn't designed for adaptation," Jisoo observed. "They rely on overwhelming force, not finesse." Hours later, the Shadow limped back to Earth. Its engines damaged, but its crew and evidence intact. The Earth Defense Council listened in stunned silence as Daeho and Jisoo presented their findings. "The Concord isn't offering membership," Daeho concluded. "They're looking for the next world to consume." President Yoon looked grave. "What do you suggest, Captain?" "We fight," Daeho said simply. "But not in a way they expect. They think we're primitive, so they won't be prepared for our true capabilities." Jisoo stepped forward. "Their technology is advanced but flawed. It hasn't evolved or been truly tested in combat for centuries. They've grown complacent. We can exploit that." General Park, now less certain than before, asked, "How do we stand against their weapons?" "By not standing still," Daeho said. "By using our greatest strength, our adaptability. Humans have always excelled when our backs are against the wall." After hours of debate, the Earth Defense Council reached a decision. They would not surrender. The next day, Daeho stood on the bridge of the Defender once more. Commander Talen's face appeared on the screen, looking confident. "Have you prepared your surrender, Captain?" Daeho met the alien's 4 eyes without flinching. "We have prepared our response." He nodded to Suji, who activated the broadcast system. Daeho's next words would be heard by every Concord ship in the system. "For thousands of years, humanity has faced challenges and survived. We've fought each other. We've fought nature. We've fought our own worst impulses. Each time, we've emerged stronger." Daeho took a step closer to the screen. "You've misjudged us, Commander. You see our technology and think us weak. What you fail to understand is that technology isn't our strength. Our strength is our will to survive, our creativity, our determination." Commander Talen's expression changed to one of confusion. "This isn't a surrender," Daeho continued, his voice growing stronger. "This is a warning. Stand down, or face consequences beyond your understanding." Talen's confusion turned to amusement. "Bold words from a primitive species. You have made your choice. Prepare for standard pacification protocol." As the transmission ended, Daeho turned to his crew. Their faces showed fear but also resolve. "They think they know what humans are capable of," he said. "They're about to learn how wrong they are." Outside the viewport, the massive Concord ships began to move into attack formation. The first battle for Earth's future was about to begin. 5 years had passed since humanity's defiant stand against the stellar Concord. Earth had changed in ways no one could have imagined before. Han Bin Lee stood in the underground war room, studying the holographic display of the solar system. Once a history professor specializing in ancient warfare, he was now Earth's top military strategist. His eyes narrowed as he moved digital ships across the map. "The Concord expects us to fight like they do," Han Bin said to the officers gathered around him. "That will be their downfall." Colonel Min Seo-jang shook her head. But their ships are still bigger and stronger than ours. Hanbin smiled. Size isn't everything. History is full of smaller forces defeating larger ones through better strategy. He pointed to a cluster of asteroids. Here is where we'll place our ambush teams. The Concord flies in perfect formations. They don't expect tricks. The door slid open, and Admiral Dae-ho Kim walked in. The years had added gray to his hair and new lines to his face, but his eyes burned with the same determination. General Lee, Dae-ho nodded. How are the new tactics coming along? Ready for your review, Admiral, Hanbin replied. I've been studying every encounter we've had with conquered ships over the past 5 years. They always follow the same patterns. They never adapt. Good, Dae-ho said. We need every advantage. He turned to the others. What's the status of our hidden fleet? 80% complete, Min Seo reported. The shipyards inside Ceres and the Moon are working at full capacity. Dae-ho nodded. The Concorde still believes we only have the decoy ships they can see. Let's keep it that way. In a laboratory deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Jisoo Park carefully examined the alien device floating in the containment field. She had spent the past 5 years studying captured Concorde technology, learning its secrets. Hand me the molecular separator, she said to her assistant, Taiwan Bayek. As Taiwan passed her the tool, the lab door opened and Dae-ho walked in. Any progress? He asked. Jisoo smiled, pushing her glasses up her nose. More than progress, Dae-ho. A breakthrough. She gestured to the alien device. This is part of their shield generator. I figured out why it's so powerful but also so inflexible. Show me, Dae-ho said, stepping closer. Jisoo adjusted the containment field, causing the device to separate into its component parts. The Concorde builds technology like they build their empire, rigid and hierarchical. Each part only works, with specific other parts. There's no room for adjustment or creativity. She picked up a different device, one that was clearly of human design. Our version combines their power source with our adaptive circuits. The result is a shield that's almost as strong as theirs, but can change and respond to different attacks. Can it be mass-produced? Dae-ho asked. Jisoo nodded. We've already started. Every ship in our fleet will have these shields within 6 months. Dae-ho looked at the rows of other alien technology being studied in the lab. You've done amazing work, Jisoo. She smiled, but her eyes were serious. The Concorde thinks we're primitive because we haven't had their technology for as long, but we understand it better than they do. They use it, we improve it. In a secret facility beneath the mountains of New Zealand, 23-year-old Yuna Kang sat surrounded by screens and circuit boards. Her fingers moved quickly over a keyboard as lines of code scrolled by. Almost there, she muttered to herself. Just one more adjustment. The door opened and Dae-ho entered with General Hanbin Lee. You wanted to see us, Ms. Kang? Dae-ho asked. Yuna jumped up, her face lighting up with excitement. Yes, it's ready. She pointed to a small device on the table. This is what I've been working on for the past 3 years. Hanbin picked it up, turning it over in his hands. This little thing? What does it do? It's a quantum communication system, Yuna explained. Completely untraceable and unblockable by the Concorde. Dae-ho looked impressed. How does it work? It uses quantum entanglement, Yuna said. 2 particles connected across any distance, what happens to one instantly happens to the other, no matter how far apart they are. The Concorde uses standard communication that has to travel through space. Ours is instant. And they can't intercept it? Hanbin asked. They can't even detect it, Yuna said proudly. I've tested it past Neptune. It works perfectly. Dae-ho smiled at the young engineer. This could change everything. Our ships and bases will be able to coordinate perfectly while the Concorde remains blind to our plans. Yuna nodded. Exactly. And I've made it small enough to fit in any ship or even a handheld device. Outstanding work, Dae-ho said. Begin production immediately. On the bridge of his command ship, Admiral Dae-ho Kim held a secure meeting with leaders from bases across the solar system. Thanks to Yuna's quantum communication system, They could talk without fear of being overheard. Mars Base, report, Daeho, said. Colonel Hyunwoo Choi's face appeared on the screen. Underground hangars are complete. 200 fighter ships ready and hidden. Jupiter Station, Commander Soo-Jin Moon appeared. Mining operations have extracted enough rare materials for the next phase. The enemy still thinks we're just a research outpost. One by one, each base reported in. Humanity had spent 5 years building in secret, preparing for the coming battle. While the Concorde watched Earth's visible ships and bases, an invisible network of military power had spread throughout the solar system. The asteroid belt team deserves special recognition, Daeho said. Their mining disguise has hidden the construction of our largest ships. Captain Junho Park nodded on screen. Thank you, Admiral. The 10 dreadnoughts are almost complete. The Concorde has no idea they exist. Daeho looked at each face on his screen. 5 years ago, the Concorde gave us a choice: surrender or be destroyed. We chose a third option: prepare and fight back. Now, the waiting is almost over. In his private quarters later that night, Daeho reviewed the latest message from the Concorde. Commander Talon's face filled the screen, his 4 eyes blinking in what Daeho had learned was a sign of irritation. This is your final warning, humans, Talon said. Your continued defiance tests the patience of the stellar Concorde. We have allowed you 5 years to reconsider your foolish stance. That time is at an end. Submit or face extinction. Daeho turned off the message and walked to the viewport. Outside, Earth shone blue and green against the blackness of space. He thought about all the people down there living their lives, most unaware of how hard everyone had worked to protect them. A knock at his door interrupted his thoughts. Enter, he called. Jisoo walked in, carrying a data pad. Have you seen the latest scans? She asked without greeting. They had been friends too long for formalities. Not yet, Daeho said. What have you found? The Concorde is gathering ships, Jisoo said, showing him the images. More than we've ever seen before. At least 300 vessels near Saturn. Daeho studied the images. They're planning their big push. Are we ready? Jisoo asked quietly. Daeho was silent for a moment before answering. As ready as we can be. Hanbin's tactics, your technology, improvements, Yuna's communication system, together they give us a fighting chance. The Concorde still outnumbers us, Jisoo pointed out. Yes, Daeho agreed. But they don't know what we've built or what we've learned. And most importantly, they don't understand humans. He looked back at Earth through the viewport. We're fighting for our home, Jisoo. That makes all the difference. Jisoo stood beside him looking at the planet below. The Concorde has ruled this sector for 1,000 years. No one has ever successfully defied them. Daeho smiled grimly. Then it's time someone did. They ignored our warning 5 years ago. Now they'll learn what humanity is truly capable of. Outside, the viewport. A small patrol ship passed by, one of the few Earth vessels the Concorde knew about. Hidden throughout the solar system, hundreds more waited for the signal to reveal themselves and bring the fight to the enemy. The greatest surprise in Concorde history was about to unfold. The alarm blared throughout Earth Defense Headquarters. Admiral Daeho Kim rushed to the command center, officers moving quickly out of his way. Report, he ordered as he entered the room. General Hanbin Lee stood at the main console. Concorde, fleet has crossed Neptune's orbit, Admiral. 327 ships moving in standard attack formation. They'll reach Earth in 14 hours. Daeho studied the holographic display. The enemy ships moved in perfect lines, just as Hanbin had predicted. It's time, Daeho said. He pressed the comm button on the console. This is Admiral Kim. Operation Ghost Fleet is now active. I repeat, Ghost Fleet is now active. Throughout the solar system, hidden bases came to life. Ships that had been built in secret powered up their engines. Earth was about to reveal its true strength. Contact Captain Do-Yoon Choi, Daeho ordered. His special operations team moves first. Captain Do-Yoon Choi sat in the pilot seat of his stealth ship, the Shadow Hunter. His team of 12 elite, Soldiers checked their equipment one last time. They were the tip of the spear, the first to strike. Message from command. His communications officer said, "Ghost Fleet is active." Do-Yoon nodded. "You all know the mission. We take out their long-range sensors before they detect our main fleet." He looked at each face in turn. "For Earth. For Earth," they responded in unison. The Shadow Hunter detached from its hiding place inside a hollow asteroid. 2 more stealth ships joined it, their special hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The 3 ships accelerated toward the conquered fleet, completely invisible to enemy sensors. Commander Talon stood on the bridge of the conquered flagship Inevitable Victory. His 4 eyes watched the tactical display with satisfaction. "The humans have made no move to flee or strengthen their defenses," his second-in-command noted. "Perhaps they will surrender after all." "They are primitive and foolish," Talon said. "But we will make an example of them nonetheless. Prepare the—" A sudden explosion rocked the ship. Alarms blared as crew members rushed to their stations. "What happened?" Talon demanded. "Our forward sensor array has been destroyed," an officer reported. "We're detecting explosions throughout the fleet. All sensor stations." Talon's skin darkened with anger. "Find who is attacking us." "We can't see them, Commander. Our sensors are blind." Do-Yoon watched with satisfaction as his team's precision strikes took out the Concord's detection systems. 20 targets hit, and still the enemy had no idea where they were. "Phase 1 complete," he reported through the quantum comm system. "The Concorde fleet is blind. Moving to Phase 2. The 3 stealth ships split up, each heading to a different section of the enemy fleet. Do-Yoon's ship approached the Concorde's. "Command vessel, prepare boarding equipment," he ordered. "We're going to pay Commander Talon a surprise visit." Back at Earth Defense Headquarters, Admiral Daeho received Do-Yoon's report. "The Concorde fleet is blind," he announced to the command staff. "Now we show them our teeth." He activated the comm system again. "All Ghost Fleet vessels launch now. Operation Thunderstrike is go." Hanbin stepped forward. "Remember, our ships are faster and more maneuverable. The Concorde relies on size and power. We use speed and surprise." Daeho nodded. "And one more. Advantage they don't expect." He turned to Jisoo, who stood at another console. "Activate the Spearhead protocol." Jisoo pressed a series of commands into her console. "Spearhead protocol active, Admiral." Throughout the solar system, what appeared to be simple satellites and space debris suddenly powered up. Thousands of small, seemingly primitive devices formed an interconnected defense grid more advanced than anything the Concorde had seen before. On the Concorde flagship, Talon was growing increasingly frustrated. "Where are the human ships?" he demanded. "Our secondary sensors detect nothing." "Commander," an officer called out, "energy readings appearing everywhere. Thousands of sources." "Impossible," Talon said. "Human technology cannot—" The ship shook violently as energy beams struck its hull from multiple directions. "Shields at 70%, someone shouted. "We're taking fire from all sides." Talon stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Where there had been nothing moments before, now hundreds of human ships appeared, attacking from all directions at once. They moved in unpredictable patterns, nothing like the organized formations the Concorde used. "This cannot be," Talon whispered. "They are supposed to be primitive." Admiral Daeho watched as the Ghost Fleet revealed itself. 200 warships that humanity had built in secret now surrounded the Concorde invasion force. The enemy's perfect formations were breaking apart as they tried to respond to attacks coming from all directions. "They're confused," Hanbin observed, with satisfaction. "They expected us to fight by their rules. And now they learn that humans make our own rules," Daeho replied. He activated the fleet-wide comm. "All ships, execute attack pattern Hydra. Target their propulsion systems first, weapons second." The human ships moved with perfect coordination, thanks to Yuna's quantum communication system. The Concorde vessels, cut off from their usual communication channels by Earth's jamming systems, struggled to coordinate their response. On the bridge of the Shadow Hunter, Do-Yoon and his team prepared to board the Concorde flagship. They had attached their ship to the enemy vessel's hull near an access port. Cutting through now, his engineer, reported. Their hull is tough, but not as tough as they think. Doyoon checked his weapon. Once we're in, we head straight for their central data core. Download everything, then plant the disruptors. What if we run into Talon? One of his team asked. Doyoon smiled grimly. Then we give him the personal message Admiral Kim prepared. The hull cutter finished its work, creating an opening into the conquered ship. Doyoon led his team inside, moving quickly through the alien corridors. The ship's crew was distracted by the battle outside, making it easier for the human team to move undetected. Jisoo Park monitored the spearhead protocol from her station. The network of satellites was performing even better than she had hoped, disrupting conquered communications and providing real-time data on enemy ship movements. Admiral, she called to Daeho, I'm detecting a power surge in the Concorde fleet. They're preparing to use their main weapon. Daeho frowned. Sooner than we expected. Contact Captain Kang. Yuna's face appeared on the screen. Already on it, Admiral. My team is deploying the disruptors now. Throughout the battle, small drone-like devices had attached themselves to conquered ships. Now, at Yuna's command, they activated, sending targeted electromagnetic pulses into the enemy vessels' systems. On the conquered flagship, Talon watched in horror as his ship's controls went dark. What is happening? He demanded. Some kind of energy pulse, an officer reported. It's disrupting our systems. Main weapon is offline. Impossible. Talon slammed his fist on the console. These humans cannot have such technology. Commander, another officer called. Intruders detected near the data core. Doyoon and his team worked quickly, downloading the Concorde's battle plans and ship schematics. The alien crew had finally noticed their presence, and security forces were converging on their position. Download complete, his tech specialist reported. Disruptors planted. Good, Doyoon said. Now for our secondary objective. They moved through the ship toward the bridge, encountering increasingly heavy resistance. Doyoon's team fought with the skill and determination that made them Earth's elite forces. They had trained for 5 years for this moment. In Earth orbit, a group of Concorde ships broke away from the main battle, heading directly for the planet. Admiral, Hanbin called out. 10 enemy ships are making for Earth. They're targeting major cities. Daeho nodded calmly. Just as we expected. Jisoo? Jisoo smiled. Planetary shield activating now. As the Concorde ships prepared to fire on Earth, a shimmering energy field appeared around the planet. Their weapons discharged only to be absorbed by the shield. Shield holding at 95%, Jisoo reported. The technology we reverse-engineered from their own ships is working perfectly. Daeho turned to Hanbin. Send in the second wave. Let's finish this. Commander Talon was surrounded by chaos. Half his fleet was disabled. Earth was protected by a shield his weapons couldn't penetrate, and now alarms indicated intruders were approaching the bridge. The doors burst open, and Doyoon led his team onto the bridge, weapons raised. Commander Talon, Doyoon said, approaching the alien leader. Captain Doyoon Choi of Earth, I bring a message from Admiral Kim. Talon's 4 eyes narrowed. What message? He says to look outside. Talon turned to the viewport just in time to see the remainder of his fleet surrounded by human ships. Concorde vessels were either disabled or retreating in disarray. This is impossible, Talon whispered. No species has ever defeated a Concorde invasion force. Doyoon smiled. There's a first time for everything. Admiral Kim also asked me to tell you something else. You ignored our warning. This is just the beginning. Outside, the battle was ending. The mighty Concorde invasion force was in retreat, defeated by the very primitives they had dismissed. Humanity had won the first round, but the war was just beginning. 3 months after Earth's victory against the Concorde invasion, Admiral Daeho Kim stood on the bridge of the Humanity's Hope, Earth's new flagship. The massive ship had been built inside the hollow core of Ceres, and only revealed after the first battle. Status report, Daeho said as he studied the star map. Captain Suji Han, now his second in command, stepped forward. All fleet positions are green, Admiral. The liberation of Proxima Centauri is complete. The local species has joined our alliance. Daeho nodded with satisfaction. After driving the Concorde from the solar system, Earth forces had pushed outward. They weren't just defending anymore. They were freeing other worlds from conquered control. And what about the Tarati system? He asked. General Hanbin's forces arrived 2 days ago, Suji reported. The Concorde garrison surrendered without a fight. They seemed shocked by our tactics. Daeho smiled slightly. Hanbin's unpredictable battle strategies had confused and demoralized the Concorde at every turn. The aliens simply couldn't adapt to fighting an enemy who refused to follow the standard rules of space combat. The communications officer called out, "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Captain Do-yoon. His mission to Concord Station 9 was successful." "Put him through," Daeho ordered. Do-yoon's face appeared on screen. He looked tired, but triumphant. "Admiral, we've secured the station and freed over 10,000 slaves. Most were from a planet called Eloria. They're eager to join our fight." "Well done, Captain," Daeho said. "What about the data core?" Do-yoon's expression grew more serious. "We downloaded everything. Dr. Park needs to see it right away. We found something disturbing." In her laboratory aboard the Humanities Hope, Jisoo Park sorted through the massive amount of data Do-yoon's team had captured. Her fingers moved quickly over the holographic interface as she searched for answers. When the door opened and Daeho walked in, she didn't even look up. "I was just about to call you," she said. "You need to see this." Daeho moved to her side. "Do-yoon said you found something important." Jisoo nodded, her face grim. "The Concorde has been hiding the truth for over 1,000 years." She pulled up an image of an ancient-looking ship. "This is from a civilization called the Arathans. According to these records, they were highly advanced, more so than even the Concorde." "What happened to them?" Daeho asked. "The Concorde destroyed them," Jisoo said simply. "But first they stole their technology." She showed him more images, schematics, blueprints, formulas. "Everything the Concorde uses, their ships, weapons, shields, it's all Arathan technology. They didn't develop any of it themselves." Daeho's eyes widened. "They're using stolen technology they don't fully understand." "Exactly," Jisoo said. "That's why they can't improve it or adapt when we find weaknesses. They're just copying what they took." She pulled up another file. "And it gets worse. The Arathans weren't the only ones. The Concorde has been doing this for centuries, finding advanced civilizations, stealing their technology, then destroying them to hide the evidence." Daeho was silent for a moment, processing this information. "This changes everything. If other species learn that the Concorde's power is based on theft and genocide, their empire could collapse," Jisoo finished. On a planet called Navarre, once a loyal Concorde member world, General Hanbin Lee met with representatives from 12 different species. The large meeting hall was filled with tension and hope. "For too long, the Concorde has ruled through fear," Hanbin told the assembled leaders. "They made you believe they were all powerful, that resistance was futile." He activated a holographic display showing Earth ships defeating Concorde forces in 3 different star systems. "But humans proved them wrong," he continued. "And now, we offer you a chance to join us not as subjects but as equals." A tall, blue-skinned being stood up. "The Concorde has ruled for 1,000 years. What makes you think your victory is not just luck?" Hanbin nodded respectfully. "A fair question. It's not luck. It's adaptability." He showed them footage of Earth ships changing formations mid-battle, confusing Concorde forces. The Concorde fights the same way every time. They never change, never improve. We studied them, found their weaknesses, and exploited them. Another alien with 4 arms and crystal-like skin spoke up. "If we join you and you fail, the Concorde will destroy our worlds." "They were already slowly destroying you," Hanbin replied. "Mining your resources, taking your people as labor. We offer a different path, freedom and cooperation." By the end of the meeting, all 12 species had agreed to join Earth's alliance. The resistance was growing stronger every day. Commander Talon stood before the Concorde High Council, his posture rigid with tension. The 7 council members looked down at him from their elevated platform, their expressions cold. "You have Failed spectacularly, the head counselor said. These humans were supposed to be primitive, yet they have pushed our forces back in 17 systems. They fight like no species we have encountered before, Talon argued. They don't follow the standard tactics. They adapt and change their strategies constantly. Excuses, another counselor hissed. Perhaps the rumors are true, that some member worlds are beginning to question our leadership. The head counselor leaned forward. Is it also true that the humans have discovered information from Concord Station 9? Talon hesitated before answering. Yes, they captured the station and accessed its data core. The council members exchanged alarmed glances. This is unacceptable, the head counselor declared. If they learn about the origins and share that information with our member worlds, the consequences could be severe. What would you have me do? Talon asked. Crush them, the counselor replied. By any means necessary. Mobilize the Grand Fleet and prepare the Star Silencer. Talon's eyes widened. But the sacred laws forbid. The sacred laws will not matter if our empire crumbles, the head counselor snapped. The humans must be eliminated, regardless of the cost. Back on the humanities. Hope, Yuna Kang worked frantically in her lab. Screens surrounded her, each showing different schematics and formulas. For 3 days she had barely slept or eaten. When Daeho entered, she didn't look up. Admiral, she acknowledged. I'm almost finished. With what exactly? Daeho asked. Jisoo told me you locked yourself in here after seeing the Arathan data. Yuna finally turned to face him, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. I found something in the data. The Arathans had a theory about disrupting quantum fields, but they never built a working device. She pointed to a small, cylinder-shaped object on her workbench. I finished what they started. Daeho picked up the device, studying it. What does it do? It creates a cascading failure in any system that uses the Concord's power sources, Yuna explained. Their entire technology is based on a specific type of energy matrix. This device disrupts that matrix, rendering their weapons useless. Daeho looked at her with new respect. You've created a device that can disable Concord technology? Yuna nodded. Any ship, weapon, or shield within range will simply stop working. But it's just a prototype. We need to test it. Before Daeho could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. He rushed to the nearest communication panel. Admiral Kim here. What's happening? Sir, Suji's voice came through. Our long-range scouts have detected massive Concord fleet movements. Hundreds of ships, more than we've ever seen before, gathering near their home system. They're preparing a counterattack, Daeho said grimly. That's not all, Suji continued. They're moving something called the Star Silencer from their secure vault. According to the data Dr. Park decoded, it's some kind of superweapon. Daeho looked back at Yuna and her device. How soon can you have that ready for full deployment? Yuna's face grew serious. 3 weeks, maybe 4. But Admiral, the Concord might move before then. Then we need to slow them down, Daeho decided. Contact General Hanbin and Captain Doyoon. It's time for one more special operation. He turned to leave, then paused at the door. And Yuna? Work faster. The fate of Earth, and all our new allies, may depend on that device. As he walked away, Daeho knew that the real test was still to come. The Concord was preparing to unleash its full might, including a weapon so powerful it violated their own sacred laws. The coming battle would determine not just Earth's future, but the future of countless worlds across the galaxy. Admiral Daeho Kim stood at the viewport of the Humanity's Hope, watching as the combined fleet of Earth and its allies gathered. Over 500 ships representing 27 different species had joined together to face the Concord's final push. It's quite a sight, Jisoo Park said, stepping up beside him. Daeho nodded. 6 months ago, we stood alone. Now look at us. The fleet stretched out before them, ships of all shapes and sizes, united by a common cause, freedom from the Concord's rule. Admiral, Suji called from her station. We're receiving an urgent message from our scouts. Daeho turned. Put it through. A holographic display activated, showing Captain Minho Kang's face. Admiral, the Concord, has deployed the star silencer. It's moving toward our solar system. Jisoo gasped. They're targeting Earth's sun. Taeho's expression hardened. How much time do we have? 12 hours at most, Minho reported. It's moving faster than we expected. What exactly is this weapon capable of? Asked General Hanbin, who had just entered the bridge. Jisoo brought up the data they had recovered. According to the Arathan records, it can destabilize a star's core, causing it to collapse and then explode. If it reaches our sun, Earth and everything in our system will be destroyed. Taeho finished. He turned to his communications officer. Contact Yuna Kang immediately. In her laboratory aboard the Defender, Yuna worked frantically on her disruption device. When Taeho's call came through, she answered without looking up. I know why you're calling, Admiral, she said. I just heard about the star silencer. Is your device ready? Taeho asked. Yuna wiped sweat from her forehead. Yes and no. The device works. I've tested it on captured Concord technology, but it has a limited range. We'd need to get it very close to the star silencer. How close? Within 1,000 kilometers, Yuna said, and it would have to remain there for at least 2 minutes to completely disrupt the weapons systems. Taeho was silent for a moment. That means a direct approach. We'd lose a lot of ships trying to get that close. I have another idea, Yuna said. The device could be reprogrammed to target the Concord's central power source instead of their weapon. Explain, Taeho said. According to the data we recovered, the Concorde powers everything from a central artificial star in their home system. If we could disrupt that instead, all their technology would fail at once, Taeho realized. But that would mean attacking their homeworld, the heart of their empire. Yuna nodded. It's heavily defended, but if we could get through, then we end this war in one strike, Taeho finished. I'll discuss it with the others. Be ready to move in 1 hour. On the bridge of the Concord flagship Eternal Dominance, Commander Talon watched as the star silencer moved steadily toward the human solar system. The humans have detected the weapon, his second-in-command reported. Their fleet is mobilizing. It makes no difference, Talon said. Once the star silencer reaches its target, their resistance ends forever. Commander, another officer, called out. We're detecting a large force of ships entering our home system. Talon turned sharply. What? That's impossible. All human forces should be defending their sun. The tactical display showed hundreds of ships approaching the Concord homeworld from multiple directions. It's not just humans, the officer reported. There are ships from many different species, including some of our former subject worlds. Talon's 4 eyes widened in shock. They wouldn't dare attack our homeworld. The defenses are impenetrable. Sir, his second-in-command said quietly, they appear to be using the attack patterns that have defeated our forces in 17 systems. For the first time in his long career, Talon felt fear. Captain Do-yoon Choi led the special operations team aboard the stealth ship Shadow Striker. Their mission was perhaps the most important of the war, to create an opening in the Concord's defenses for the main fleet to exploit. All teams ready? Do-yoon asked. His squad leaders nodded. They were the best of the best, chosen from Earth and allied species. Remember the plan? Do-yoon said. We target their sensor grid first, then their communication relays. Once those are down, we hit the shield generators. He checked the time. The main fleet arrives in 20 minutes. By then, the Concord should be blind and vulnerable. The Shadow Striker and 5 other stealth ships moved silently through the Concord's defense perimeter. Years of studying Concord patterns had taught them exactly how to slip through undetected. For Earth, Do-yoon said quietly, and for all worlds that deserve freedom. Admiral Taeho led the main attack force toward the conquered homeworld. Beside him on the bridge stood representatives from each allied species. The special ops teams have succeeded, Suji reported. Concord sensors and communications are down. Shield generators are failing. Taeho nodded. All ships commence attack. Pattern Omega. Remember your targets and stay with your groups. The Allied fleet broke into precisely coordinated teams, each targeting specific conquered defenses. It was Hanbin's most complex battle plan yet. a symphony of movement and firepower that confused and overwhelmed the enemy. "Admiral," Jisoo called from her station, "I'm detecting massive energy readings from the conquered central power source. They're trying to boost their remaining defenses." "That's our primary target," Daeho reminded her. "Where is Yuna's team?" "Moving into position now," Jisoo reported, "but they're meeting heavy resistance." Yuna Kang sat at the controls of a small, fast ship that carried her disruption device. 6 fighter ships escorted her toward the Concorde's artificial star, a massive structure that powered their entire civilization. "We're taking heavy fire," her pilot warned as the ship shook from a near miss. "Just get me within range," Yuna said, her hands steady as she made final adjustments to her device. Another hit rocked the ship, sending warning lights flashing across the control panel. "Engines damaged," the pilot reported. "We're losing speed." Yuna looked at the distance indicator. "We're still too far. We need another 1,000 kilometers." "We won't make it," the pilot said grimly. "There are too many defensive ships." Suddenly, a new voice came over the comm system. "This is Captain Do-yoon. We'll clear a path for you." Yuna watched in awe as the Shadow Striker and its team engaged the Concorde defenders, drawing their fire away from her ship. "Go now," Do-yoon ordered. "We'll hold them off." Yuna's ship surged forward as the path cleared. On her screen, she saw the Shadow Striker take multiple direct hits. "Captain Do-yoon," she called, "get out of there." "Complete your mission," was his only reply before his signal went silent. Tears filled Yuna's eyes, but she focused on her task. "We're in range," she told her pilot. "Holding position." She activated the disruption device, aiming it directly at the Concorde's power source. 2 minutes, she said. "Just hold position for 2 minutes." On the bridge of the Humanity's Hope, Daeho received the signal that Yuna's device was active. "All ships, pull back to safe distance," he ordered. "Prepare for energy wave." As the Allied fleet retreated, the Concorde ships continued firing, not understanding what was about to happen. "Device at full power," Jisoo reported. "Energy disruption beginning." On the main screen, they watched as a wave of energy spread from Yuna's position, engulfing the Concorde's artificial star. The massive structure flickered, then began to dim. "It's working," Jisoo said softly. "The power source is failing." Throughout the Concorde system, lights began to go out. Ships lost power, weapons went silent, and shields collapsed. In his flagship, Talon watched in horror as systems failed all around him. "What's happening?" he demanded, though he already knew the answer. "All power is failing," his officer reported. "The artificial star is collapsing." Talon looked out the viewport at his homeworld, now dark and vulnerable. For 1,000 years, the Concorde had ruled through superior technology and force. Now, in a single moment, it was all gone. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we're receiving a transmission from the human flagship." Daeho's face appeared on screen. "Commander Talon, the star silencer has been neutralized. Your fleet is powerless, your homeworld is defenseless. Do you wish to continue this war?" Talon looked around at his darkened bridge, at the officers waiting for his command. He had underestimated humans from the very beginning. He would not make that mistake again. "No," he said finally. "The Conquered surrenders." 1 month later, representatives from over 50 worlds gathered on Earth to form a new alliance. The Stellar Covenant would replace the Concorde, built on cooperation rather than conquest. Admiral Daeho Kim stood before the assembly looking out at faces of many different species, former enemies, now allies. "The stars belong to no single species," he told them. "We were not born to kneel, but neither were we born to rule. Together, we build, or together, we fall." As he spoke, he thought of Captain Do-yoon, who had sacrificed himself to ensure their victory, and of all those who had fought for freedom. "The Concorde ignored our warning," Daeho concluded. "They believed their technology made them invincible. But they forgot something important. Technology is just a tool. What matters is how we use it and why we fight." He looked out at the assembled representatives and smiled. "Let us build something better together." Beyond the conference hall, Earth's night sky was filled with the ships of the Allied fleet. a symbol of unity that would guide them into a new future. The war was over. The real work was just beginning.